This is Joy's tribute to her brother's passing. Joseph was born at a time when the family was living in a slave cabin on a former plantation. The owner wanted the family to live on the first floor of the Presley Mansion, as it was called. Then, later, someone told the owner that the Youngs were moving out, so the 7 moved into the slave cabin. Not that bad a home. Joseph and I, being the youngest 2 in the family, were known as the little kids, and growing up, he was closest to me of any of my siblings. We even walked to elementary school holding hands. He was my protector. We formed the Goat Club, comprised of all our goats, Joseph and me. Fun memories, visiting Mount Rushmore's 4 presidents, the ever-changing Corn Palace, the magnificent vast Grand Canyon, Pecos, Texas, home of the world's first rodeo, Anderson Manor for the young family reunion in Niagara Falls with Elizabeth, camping on Cumberland Island with wild horses ambling through our campsite, a trolley ride through Savannah, Georgia, and the old schoolhouse in St. Augustine, Florida, crossing the borders of Canada and Mexico, and looking for land to build a home in the Philippines. At the Bill Rice Ranch in 1970, Friday was announced to be Western Day, and everyone was required to wear Western culottes or red pall, and Joseph considered locking the Husgo, which was designated to house those failing to dress for the day. I wore a Western shirt and a braid fashioned by none other than her brother Joseph. Just before the service started, Joseph walked in wearing a blanket and a bow and arrow. Paul wore a Texas license plate, borrowed from Grace Rice McMullen, and in his belt an empty cartridge found in the woods, and the rodeo girls and ladies were asked to volunteer for a sack race, and nobody wanted to. So Joseph yelled that I did. Uncle Zeke ran over and dragged me into the middle, shouting to the judges that Josie had to volunteer. The WMHK staff basketball team came from Columbia Bible College's radio station to challenge our church in basketball, and the game was played in a local Newberry Presbyterian church gym. The Newberry team, Dad, Joseph, Paul, me, and Jim Bender, won by a landslide. One of WMHK's players, Rob Gregory, who played opposite Joy, was 6'10". They said on the radio afterwards they weren't expecting to be playing the Lakers. Joseph, being a distance runner, got me into running and racing, although I never did an ultramarathon like he did. From a newspaper article from the 70s, in the Governor's Cup Road race held Saturday, October 7, Mrs. E.B. Young of Newberry was awarded the trophy for being the oldest finisher in the 1-mile fun run. Mrs. Strom Thurman made the presentation. About 2,200 runners had signed up for the races, including the 5 and 15-mile runs, all starting in front of the State House at 10 a.m. Mrs. Young's son, Joseph, successfully ran the 15-mile course, and her daughters, Faith and I, ran the 5-mile race at the Piedmont Tech College race in Greenwood the Saturday before. 4 of the Youngs completed the 6.2-mile run. This course has been called the toughest 10,000-meter course in America. In the Family Health Mile run, the young team of Faith and Joseph won the first-place trophy, both estimating their finishing time closest before the run and finishing first. I believe it was Bethel Bible Camp's Vardery Fleming that sent a note saying campers wanted to know when Joseph was going to be at camp so they could be there then. Joseph was a humble man, tending to downplay his own abilities, but he graduated cum laude from Columbia Bible College. His first job was teaching Christian school at Grace Baptist Church in Waycross, Georgia. Joseph taught 16 high school and junior high students, as well as elementary math. One 7th-grade student had a speech impediment, and another had a learning disability, but both were hard workers by the time he left. They were both on the honor roll, and as seniors they asked that Joseph, by then in Valdosta, be their commencement speaker, which he accepted. I recall his preaching on Jeremiah 13 and saying, like the sash around the prophet's waist, I want to stay so close to the Lord. Thank you, Lynn, for taking such focused, loving care of your husband. Elizabeth and John, thank you for the ways that you helped my brother in his last days. Hospice nurse Carrie, you sure made our brother's passing easier when we were in a grieving fog, taking care of things kindly and efficiently. We'll see you in heaven, brother.
Greetings in the name of Jesus. I want to say that Uncle Joseph is a perfect man now, but even before he was sweet. He gave Gloria and myself a nice place to stay. He taught me also about a cool programming language and loved to go places and have fun. When he was in pain, he kept on thinking about other people. God bless you, Lynn. And thank you for loving our sweet Uncle Joseph.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for your presence here today. I am Wendy. I am Lynn's sister and Tito Joseph's sister-in-law. Again, I want to take a moment to talk about the best brother-in-law I ever had, Tito Joseph. That's what I called him. Tito Joseph was more than just a brother to me, because he didn't really just treat me that way, but so much more than that. He was my protector, my guide, and in so many ways, a father figure to me. He took care of me as if I were one of his own children, and I always be grateful for that kind of love. I'm thankful for every memory I shared with him and Ate Lynn. Tito Joseph taught me so many things: how to travel alone, how to explore without fear, how to drive, how to play the guitar and sing that song about Sweet Chariot, that country song, and how to stand on my own as an adult. He believed in preparing me for life even before I believed in myself. He was always just one call away, even if he was so very far from here, very far from the Philippines. No matter the situation, I know I could count on him. He was a true provider and protector, not only in words, but also in action. I wouldn't be who I am today without his kindness and patience. A week before I officially became a registered nurse, he told me to continue living a happy life. Those words stayed with me every day. I carried them with me as I continued the life and calling he encouraged me to pursue, because he really wanted me to get there. Tito Joseph had a soft heart. He was a good listener, gentle and understanding. He made people safe, heard, and loved without ever asking for anything in return. Though our hearts are heavy, I find comfort in knowing that he is now in the loving hands of the Lord. His work here on earth is done, but his love and legacy live on through us. To Tito Joseph, wherever you are right now, I thank God everything. I thank God for your life, and I always told him that you are forever loved, Tito, and you will always be remembered. That's it.
family. My heart's so been with you guys, and it's hard not being with you right now. But I wanted to send a little video to just kind of try to be present in this small way. So some of the first memories I have of Uncle Joseph are when I was 3 years old. I think I was around 3. We moved down to Thomasville, Georgia, and I remember Dad and Uncle Joseph cutting up and like singing these songs, like Mr. Sandman, Take Back Your Dream, and there was another one. It was a spoof off of Let Me Go, Let Me Go, Let Me Go, Lover. Except for it didn't say that. It said other things, and I just remember Dad and Uncle Joseph. I just have like this memory of them just laughing and just thinking it was just so funny, just enjoying it so much. I remember watching, or the big people around me watching Chariots of Fire at Uncle Joseph's house. Also, I think I was about 7 years old when we were living down in Augusta, Georgia, and we went to visit Uncle Joseph in Valdosta, and him and Dad switched clothes for a picture. So Dad was in the Army Reserves, and Uncle Joseph was, he was a Christian school teacher, and they switched clothes so that they could take a picture, and they just enjoyed that. And it was fun seeing the joy in their faces and having that little picture. I know my memories are not exactly accurate, but this is the way they're filed away in my head. I remember when we moved to Guatemala that Uncle Joseph's house was the last place we stopped on our way to Miami, like the last family or whatever we stopped at. And he gave us some VHS tapes. There's the one, Now You See Me, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, and Pollyanna, and we had those for a while in Guatemala, and they were just happy memories to watch those and think of Uncle Joseph's family. Also, when we came back, when I was in college, I believe we went camping with Uncle Joseph at Chain of Lakes Park, and he also took us to Chicago. Also, I have just a bunch of different memories, but I'm just trying to share a few of them. I remember holding up together with Uncle Joseph, a whole bunch of us, one winter. I think I had come home from college, and it was really snowy and cold outside, and we all holed up in Uncle Paul's trailer, and we were watching movies. Uncle Joseph, he was a present, person in our family life during some difficult seasons. And also some of the celebrations. I remember he was there when I graduated as an LPN, and then him and Dad took me to take my NCLEX and dropped me off and picked me up afterwards. And I think we went yard sailing after that. When Jackie and I got married, Uncle Joseph got us our first rice cooker. It's really late at night, and so I'm trying to get this done. And I've just been thinking about Uncle Joseph a lot today, and mourning. Grief is such an interesting thing, you know how it comes. And I'm not in the close circle, you know. I'm a niece, but I've you know, had my own processing to do, and I just want to say that I am so thankful for Uncle Joseph in my life. I'm thankful for Uncle Joseph in our family's life. And he's just a fun person. He's adventurous and fun, and he loves to take pictures at family gatherings, and he loves to he just says a lot of kind words and encouraging things, and he's gentle, and he's been a gift from God to me and to my family growing up. And I know it says in 1 Corinthians 13 that talks about us now seeing through a glass darkly, but then we will know and we will be fully known. And I look forward to the next chapter with Uncle Joseph, getting to know him and better, and all of us not ever having to say goodbye again. I love you, Uncle Joseph, and thank you so much for all your kindness to me. I love you, family.
I remember the day Joseph was born. Some of my favorite memories of him were when we would travel together back, especially in the 70s, a little bit in the 80s. One time he has introduced me to preach in his church to the young people. And he said, when I was a boy, I used to look up to Paul. But there was one thing I didn't look up to him about. He was so mean, which is true. I was sort of a bully to him. But he said, I saw a change, excuse me, when I was 14. He was 14, I was 17. Maybe wonder if all that time I was thinking I was saved, wasn't really saved at all, because we know we passed from death to life because we love the brethren. He's a really good friend. One of the favorite places we had together was Adventure Faith Camp. I did most of the preaching. He'd play the guitar and sing, and of course the kids loved him. One of the places we went was Calvary Baptist of Monticello, Florida, where Doyle Davis was the pastor. And while we were there was an article in the newspaper, 2 articles, I guess, or at least pictures with captions. One was about Joseph and me and Joseph's dummy, Curtis. And the other was there's 3 young ladies, I think at First Baptist Church of Monticello. And I think they were singing or just doing some kind of musical thing. And the newspaper had a picture of them, those 3 ladies, and Joseph and me and Curtis. But it switched our caption so that it said something like this. Under the picture of Joseph and Curtis and me, it had Teresa, Ann, and Sylvia, or whatever the names was. And under the 3 ladies, it had Joseph, Paul, and their dummy, Curtis. Another interesting thing, one weekend we were spending at Adventure Faith Camp, and most everybody was gone except a few young people. And there was a guy, I forget his name. Joseph and he were playing chess, but it was coin chess, a game he invented. You flip a coin and see whose move it is. And this other guy, Terry Lawson, I think his name was. Big old guy, MK. He was winning about 3/4 the tosses, but he couldn't beat Joseph. And then I watched and I kept tracking. It got to be about about 80% of the time he was winning. I'm not sure if Joseph came out with a stalemate or the guy finally did beat him, but it was pretty unusual. One of the things we like to do was when we were at Rose City Christian, way back in '75, before Joseph was teaching, he and I were conducting what we call a revival service. And so out of the parking lot, we had a basketball game. It was Joseph and Gene Vinson and I against 3 of their high school guys. That was fun. And then years later, we had a game. I think it was Joseph and Daniel and Dad and I and Andrew, 5 of us against the Rose City Christian School basketball team. I think we won, but I'm not sure. We did that against Lawrence, and one time we did it with the Rika School in Columbia, and they beat us. That was kind of a shock to us. we like to win. Every year at the ACE convention, state convention, they would have a contest to see which school, got the most points from arts and crafts and athletics and stuff like that, ministry stuff, singing. And so we figured out the system, and we wanted to win. The year before, the team that won, the school that won, got about 26, 30 maybe. And so we found out how good you had to be in some of the athletic stuff to win, and there wasn't much we could do there. So we did well, and Joseph and I were planning, and we only had 3 kids, 1 in elementary, 1 in high school, and 1 in junior high. And all 3 of them got about 4, 5, 6, 7, I think, first places and some seconds and thirds. And we sort of went over the top. Everything we could, we entered, especially the things that nobody else would entered, you're pretty well guaranteed a first place. So after that year, I think we got 130 points. After that year, they changed the rules. Anyway. Another time at the state convention. By the way, I'm Paul Young, one of Joseph's brothers. At the state Christian schools convention, one time I was preaching, and I was preaching on No Man Can Serve 2 Masters. And so I just stopped and called on a guy at random to come up to the platform with me. So he got up, teenager, and about 400 kids there, I think. And when he started coming, Joseph stood up. Joseph was out in the audience. He stood up and said, "Sit down." And it was really a shocking, tense atmosphere. And the guy sat down. I said, or he stopped. And I said, "Now come on up here, don't worry about it." And Joseph said, "Sit down." And the guy wouldn't listen to me. He listened to Joseph. And then I said, "No man can serve two masters." And then there was a few people chuckled, and there was a sigh of relief, and other people laughed. And later, Dad said, "Don't do that again." It was too dramatic. But I think it may have gotten the point across at least. As we would travel, naturally, especially at Venture Faith Camp and at school, there are different young ladies, older girls that liked him. So he's a really likable guy. I didn't get too jealous, but I won't name any names, but there was one girl that he liked, I liked, and Daniel liked over a period of a couple of years, I guess. We talked about making hay while the sun shines. What we meant by that was, I guess, a little bit of flirting. We weren't exactly in a position to do a whole lot of dating at that stage in life. And but it was, one thing I'm really indebted to him about is Joseph was living in Anderson, Indiana, and he located, this is about 2 years after I left Newberry, maybe a year or two, he located a mobile home, and it really was a really nice location. It was a good size for us. It was just it's kind of old, but it was in good condition. It just really fit the needs and my needs, and then Vicki and me and our eventually three kids. And he got it. I didn't mention this. It cost a whopping $2,400, and so that was really nice. We would have visited over there. Joseph would come over to see us sometimes, and Sherry and the kids. And one joke we heard in South Africa, the guys stopped us and told us, and so we thought it was funny. And Vicki told it there. It was actually while Daniel and some of his family were there, Joseph and his family, and Vicki and I, and maybe our kids. The guy said, "Well, you know the difference between in-laws and outlaws?" Well, we didn't know. Didn't know what he had. He said, "Well, outlaws are wanted." We thought that was pretty funny, but as we thought it over, Vicki was the one in-law in the whole group. But she thought it was funny too. One time we did some biking together. I think it might have been Daniel and Joseph and I. We all got on bicycles and biked all the way to Florida. Of course, we started from Venture Faith Camp, which is only about 8 miles away, but it sounds pretty good if you don't mention that. Another really happy memory I have is the time when Grace and Joy and Cheryl and I think, went to see Joseph when he was still living at Victory Baptist in the mobile home there. And then he took us to the Golden Isles. I guess it was Jekyll Island. We biked around. That was really a lot of fun. And on the beach. Grace had a bad experience there. She almost drowned. But other than that, it was really a special time to be with Joseph and just having a fun time. Back in high school, I remember I used to be able to lap Joseph on a mile. We do 4 laps up and down Moon Street. And but then there came a time, still in high school, I think, I'm not sure. We were about even, And then he got to the end of halfway through the third lap, and he just took off running like it was the kick right at the end. And he kept it up. I didn't. He beat me pretty bad. I didn't have the heart to even try to keep up with him. I was so tired, and he was going so fast. But one of his important legacy is the Bible verses he set to music. People love them. Two of them especially were Psalm 1 and 2 Chronicles 16:9. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth. So we have a lot of happy memories. And we're really grateful for Lynn. We admire her. She was a sweet wife, and Joseph did a good deal when he snared her. Looking forward to seeing him again in heaven.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night, day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth the fruit of his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Only fear the Lord and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he has done for you. Fear the Lord, serve him in truth with all your heart. Fear the Lord, serve him in truth with all your heart. Only fear the Lord and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he has done